A blade grazed my throat under the noon blaze of Meridian Square, and a cop's whisper slid in my ear like poison. One push, and you vanish. The crowd froze. Phones blinked alive. Blood warmed my collar. In the space of one breath, I turned her own knife, and her scream shattered the square like thunder. My name is Layla Vance. I didn't wake that morning planning to survive a blade or a headline. I was just buying bread, counting steps across red bricks, trying not to let this city hollow me out. Meridian City, so clean, so safe, for the ones who built its glass towers on people like me. Safety here is theater. They rehearse it daily, and the show only falters when someone like me forgets to bow. I knew how to fight once. Counterinsurgency work. Training meant for saving lives, not taking them. I'd learned the geometry of fear, how wrists speak before voices do, how breath can measure distance. But I carried that skill quiet, like a secret knife in my pocket of memory. I cut through the square to save 6 minutes. That's when I saw them. 2 uniforms lounging under the statue's shadow. Sergeant Slade, broad-shouldered, built like a fortress. Officer Harper, the kind who smirks before the cruelty starts. I felt their eyes before their words. Don't you love it when they strut like they belong here? Slade said. Harper blocked my path, arms wide, grin lazy. What do you want? I asked calm as glass. Sometimes you give people a chance to walk away. They didn't take it. My bag strap snapped. Groceries spilled. My notebook slid under a bench. Slade's boot ground my bread flat. Say you were out of line, she said, leaning close enough for me to smell her coffee breath. And maybe you walk out of here. I bent to gather my things, every movement a calculation. I stood tall. I did nothing wrong. She hated that sentence. It had no fear in it. Her shove sent me to the bricks. Pain flared, my cheek hit hot stone. The world narrowed to breath, dust, and the click of her knife. One push and you're done, she hissed. The crowd watched like they were watching a show. Phones up, mouth shut. That's the thing about fights you don't start. They still demand you in them. Her grip faltered, wrist opened for half a breath. I turned. One motion. The blade reversed. The sound she made when it entered her will never leave me. She fell, screaming. The word that followed wasn't my name. It was self-defense. Sirens chased the truth, then drowned it. Guns surrounded me, black circles closing in. I was a single pulse in a crosshair. Then, movement. A young man in a baseball cap stepped forward, arms wide. Don't shoot. A woman with a baby joined him. The crowd surged, phones high, voices rising. Gas hissed. The square turned white. We coughed, stumbled, but didn't break. Hands linked, strangers becoming a wall. Someone threw me a coat. Walk when I say walk. A volunteer ordered. I followed her voice through smoke. Somewhere behind us, a girl shouted, "We got it all." And a boy answered, "Post it now." By sunset, the city's newsrooms had rewritten my name into a monster's. Extremist woman stabs officer, they said, wrapping the story in music and menace. They cropped the footage at the scream, but the raw clips spread faster than their lies. Hashtag Stand with Layla trended before nightfall. The video showed everything, the shove, the knee, the blade in my throat. The world saw, but Meridian's powerful, don't forgive exposure. People whispered, be careful, because they know how this city silences truth. They'd done it before to my brother, Marcus Vance, killed in an operation. No veapon, no footage, no answers. Just a file stamped closed. I filed appeals, knocked on doors, begged for unredacted pages. They smiled, sent me elsewhere, wore me down. Until one day, a message appeared from an unknown number. 2 words, Metro Basement. I should have deleted it. I didn't. I was done being erased. I found the old municipal security building, concrete rotting, locks rusted. Inside, file cabinets tipped like gravestones, dust thick as silence. And under a tarp, a safe. My brother's name was taped to it in peeling ink. My hands shook as I touched the dial. I could hear the wind whistling through the cracks. Like a warning or a countdown. Somewhere outside, sirens again. Maybe for me, maybe for what I was about to open. My reflection blinked back in the steel, older, meaner. I twisted the handle. The lock clicked once. Behind me, footsteps. Someone whispered my name, soft, almost kind. And then the lights went out, and I did, with fingers that remembered patterns my head had set aside. Click. There it was, special security operation. Meridian stamped and signed. Bland words hiding blood money trails that ran through shell charities and fake consulting firms to a fund labeled community security, which really meant slush and muscle. The list of names froze my stomach. Chief Hart, a state aide, 3 captains, a senator's fixer, and in an appendix, the line that split me clean. Subject Marcus Vance, deceased in contact, no firearm recovered. That kind of truth doesn't lift you, it drops you. But once I could breathe again, I wrapped the file in plastic, slid it under my coat, and walked into a night where helicopters made their own weather, raids began, doors kicked in, lights cutting through curtains, and a message painted across the city without paint. We can erase anyone. If you think I'm exaggerating, count the bodies of those who spoke for me. Elijah Brooks, the reporter who said truth cannot be buried, shot on his own porch in a robbery where nothing was taken. Claudia Hayes, the attorney who swore she'd fight my case till her voice broke, struck by a truck that appeared and disappeared like a ghost. Officer Daniel Moore, who once pulled a mother and child behind cover when the gas rolled too thick, found dead in a holding cell where the camera had a habit of blinking off. Suicide, they said. The word cut like glass. The city tried to seal the wound by declaring me gone. Extremists neutralized, a cabin fire, stretchers with covered forms. But the ones who saw what they saw didn't buy it, and neither would I. Then came a shaky clip from a ridge above the trees. A figure limping out before the blast, small in the pixels, familiar in the bones. You can argue whether it was me, but maybe that didn't matter. Maybe the idea of me had already outlived the body. Soon murals spread across Meridian. A woman turning a blade to catch the crowd's reflection. Turn the blade scrawled beneath. Kids posed beside it. Grandmothers nodded politely to the ghost, and the department scrubbed walls at night only to wake to fresh paint by dawn. The State House staged a hearing, sugar over glass. Oversight, reform, PowerPoint comfort. But sometimes the most radical act is showing up and refusing to speak their grammar. So I did. I limped in late, collar bandaged, coat still stained where my neck had leaked. The silence that followed wasn't applause. It was the sound of a room forgetting what it thought it knew. I said my name plain, set the same bag that had survived the square on the table, and opened the folder like a wound. Here's the money. Here are the accounts. Here's the memo that calls dead civilians revenue adjustments. And because numbers make cowards stall, I played audio, a voice saying, the public doesn't need truth. They need order. If anyone ruins that, erase them. The hearing deflated. Men went pale. One tried to swallow his face and couldn't. Then I showed the unreleased body cam. Sergeant Slade's own lens, her own knife, her own voice, my blood, a thin red underline across my throat. If context is king, here was the crown. Her laughter, then her scream, when the woman she tried to break rewrote the ending. When federal agents entered, the air shifted. Not swagger, certainty. Handcuffs don't ring like bells, but every click said, the scriptwriters lost control. Chief Hart sagged like his suit forgot its owner. Councilman Sloan shouted defamation into a vacuum. And on every network, hallway footage showed badges clinking into a tray like coins dropped into a jar marked too late. Outside, a woman raised a photo of her vanished son and sobbed like sound could pull him through stone. Teenagers shouted, cried, laughed at once. The body's confusion when too much truth lands. If you want a clean ending, this isn't that story. I didn't give speeches or pose for headlines. I sat in a dim back room, counting faces I couldn't bring back. Elijah with his pen, Claudia with her fire, Daniel with his quiet. I told the medics I was fine, then said it again so they could believe it, and slipped out a side door smelling of wax and dust. I pulled up my hood and stepped into a city where the chant wasn't a chant anymore. It was a heartbeat. Steady. Human. Reform began. Body cams with penalties when they go dark, a civilian board with real teeth, a department rebuilt under a charter that reads people before property. It's not enough. It never is. But now you're watching. Now, when someone in uniform reaches for a knife, a kid is already filming, a grandmother already stepping forward, a rookie already deciding she wants to go home with a conscience. People ask if I'm alive, and I smile because that's a strange question to ask someone talking to you. Maybe you're asking if the part of you that refuses to kneel is still breathing. Maybe that's the better question. Maybe the answer is yes, sometimes, and it needs food, water, witnesses. Yeah, that happened. We all need witnesses. So if any part of this struck you like truth does when it finally lands, share it. So the next person sees the shape of the moment before it swallows them.